Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
My name is Gia Pace, and I'm Public Programs Coordinator here at the Museum of Jewish Heritage. And thank you so much for that beautiful candle lighting, Elliott, Jared, Mark, and Stacey. When 10-year-old Elliott Saiontz asked his 90-year-old great-grandfather, Jack Feldman, about the number tattooed on his arm, he sparked an intimate conversation about Jack's life that embraced happy memories of his childhood in Poland, the loss of his family, surviving Auschwitz, and finding a new life in America. This conversation became the 2018 short HBO documentary, The Number on Great Grandpa's Arm, which provides children and their families a gentle introduction to the subject of the Holocaust. We are thrilled to be catching up with Elliott and his brother Jared 3 years later for a special Hanukkah family program. We will begin with the screening of the 19-minute film, followed by a live conversation between Elliott, Jared, and their mother, Stacey, a trustee of the museum. Without further delay, we're going to share the films.
This is the story of Jack Feldman, my great-grandfather. He was put in the Nazi death camps during World War II. This is the close-up of his number from Auschwitz, A17606. That was his number, and he told us back then, your number was your name. That was all he was to them. Hi, I'm Elliott. I'm 10 years old. This is a picture of my family. I have my dad, my mom, and there's my brother, Jared. This is my great-grandfather. He is a Holocaust survivor. We see him every summer, and whenever we come visit, we play games, hang out, read our books together. And this is one of his hats. He loves wearing hats.
Every time I go to the store, I buy a hat. I buy another hat. I keep buying. I said, how many hats do you need? I said, well, I like those hats.
As far as I can remember, I've been asking him questions. He's good at storytelling. We talk about all kinds of things. My favorite topic to usually talk to him about would be what he did before the war. Who's that?
That's my daddy.
That's your dad?
Yeah, my daddy, and that's my aunt. That's Sammy.
That's Sammy and
Sam, that's
so that
me.
must be you and Sally?
That's my wife, Sally. I had a big family.
Can you tell me a story about where you're from?
Where I was born?
Yeah, where are you?
I was born in Poland.
Like where in Poland?
Where? The name, the town, Sosnowiec.
Was it pretty or what?
Oh, yeah. Nice place. We live good there.
Did you go to school?
Sure, I went to school.
What'd you do for fun?
I went to watch the soccer game. Very happy life. We have a good family. We were very close. In summertime, we went for vacation. It was a good life.
What did your father do as his job?
He was a cap maker. He made hats. That was his business. He was very successful. And Saturday, everybody went to temple. My father dressed up, elegant, with a nice hat. He was a smart man. He was young, but he was smart.
Did you ever learn how to drive a car?
Drive a car? We have a horse, not a car. We have no cars.
Great Poppy told me there's always trouble for Jews, but your religion didn't really matter back then, till the Nazis came. In Germany, there was a lot of problems going on, and Adolf Hitler made a big speech and said, oh, the Jews are causing all the problems. If we kill all the Jews, then we're going to have no more problems.
They say, well, Hitler's coming to you. That was very nasty.
Most of the Jews were scared. They didn't want to get hurt. Do you remember seeing any of this? Like the burning temple?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what this was?
Jews were forced to wear a yellow star. You have to wear this. You put them right over here. They used to wear that.
Why?
When you walk on the street, they know you're Jewish.
Did you have to do that to your store?
Yeah.
Write on all the windows, Jews?
You did. That's a Jew.
There were people chucking rocks at Jewish people's stores, only because they were Jewish. My great-grandfather, it was really hard for him. He got kicked out of school because he was Jewish.
The Germans came in and they rounded us up. And they sent us to the ghetto. We left everything home. They couldn't take nothing with you.
The ghetto was a little area where they crammed a huge bunch of Jews in there, forced them to live in there.
We had maybe 15 or 20 people sleeping in one room. I slept on the floor.
They lost their homes, they lost their possessions, they lost their money, they lost their businesses, they lost everything. What happened after you were in the ghetto?
I was walking with my friends on the street. I was young, 14. Then the German with the car pull off and they grabbed me and they took me away.
Did they grab any of your friends?
Yeah,
All of them?
all of them. And they put me in a room. My mother and father, I looked at the window, I only see my father. My mother, she didn't come because she was heartbroken. My father came in, he said like that, goodbye. He told me, "You're young. You go to work. We don't know what will happen to us over here." And he was right.
You know what happened to your father?
What happened? No. I never saw him. I never knew it. What happened? Never knew what happened to my mother and my father. I never saw him again.
The Nazis wanted to take over all of Europe. And so they invaded one country after another. They planned to kill every single Jewish person in Europe. Did it scare you?
Scare me? Sure they scare me. I always hope I go see my parents again. I always think about them.
When the Nazis captured you from the ghetto, what'd they do?
They transferred me. They put me on the train
To where?
to the camp. They sent me from one camp to the other one. When I was in Fallbrook labor camp, my father sent me this hat. My father did a lot of business with the German people, and they brought this in for me. I knew it why he sent me the hat. Right here, he put the money in, you see? Right here was open. When I got it, I opened up, and I found the money right there. But I couldn't do nothing with the money. You couldn't buy nothing in the camp. So I took the money out, and I give it to the headman from the camp, that he give me some food, and he treat me better.
Great Poppy says the extra food and stuff that he got from the money is how he survived.
Finally, they sent me to Auschwitz.
Auschwitz was a death camp or a concentration camp. Concentration camp was a place where they kept them behind a bunch of electric fences so they wouldn't escape. And had guards around the electric fence with guns to shoot them if they tried to escape.
When I arrived in the camp, they put this number. They didn't call me Jack. They didn't call me my name, they called the number.
So they weren't who they really were. They were just numbers. When he was at the death camps, they were like slaves. They didn't care for them. Like the Nazis made them dig holes just to make them work. They did one little mistake, and they got caught. They just like shoot them, kill them.
We dig the ground, you know what I mean? We don't know for what. No peace. You want to lay down, sleep, they call you. They don't know peace.
What did you eat there?
Soup, water. On a Sunday, they give you a piece of bread.
Were you like skinny? Kind of like
Skinny,
this? Like really
skinny. My feet were skinny. My whole body was skinny.
How did you get out of Auschwitz?
The Germans started to lose the war and they wanted to run away. They took us and we marched for 6 months, walking every night, every day and night, without food, without fuel. A lot of people couldn't make it.
Thousands and thousands of people just died. If you stopped or went off course, shot you, dug up a hole, threw you in the hole.
We walking till May. May 5th, I was liberated by the Russians. When the Russians left, the American came in.
After the war, he went back to his hometown. No one was there. Did you find anyone?
In my hometown, I didn't find nobody. That's why I left.
He went to Germany to live there in a displaced persons camp. And he got married. And then he went on a boat. When he got to America, the funny thing is, he thought his name wasn't fancy enough. So he changed his name to Jack. And then opened up Jack's Fish Market. Hi, Bobby.
You see the fish?
Yeah.
That's Papi's store. What time is it? It's time for lunch.
I like the grouper.
You like grouper? And you, what do you like?
Salmon.
Salmon. Let me find out if they have salmon.
This is the only place that we know that you can get something to eat if you ain't got no money. This is his number right here. And he knows exactly what it means to be hungry. So therefore, if there's anybody hungry, he will feed them, if you got money or not.
His stories have changed a lot of people. The way they think, the way they act. You need to know it to understand, to stop it from happening in future generations. They say in a year or two, there's gonna be no survivors left. And so we're trying to get all their stories, all the information before they pass away. He's a hero to most people for how he survived and stuff. I know he's my family's hero.
Today. I enjoy very much with you, to be with you when you come to see me again.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for watching with us. Elliott, will you tell us what it was like to be in a movie?
Well, it was very important. It was a very special occasion because I was able to sit down with my great-grandfather, which is something I did a lot, but we really got to divulge into his story and get it all documented, which is a very important thing because we have tons of videos of him telling his story, but they're all scattered apart. And so to be able to sit down and get his story all out, all on one try, was a very nice, special, and important thing.
Can you tell us about the animation in the film? How did the artist Jeff Shear make the paintings based on your great-grandfather's story?
Well, the paintings were actually taken from real-life photos in a process called rotoscoping, where you take the actual historical photo and then you trace over it, and in that way he's able to make it more child-friendly and approachable because it looks more like a watercolor rather than being confronted with that actual image, but in reality, you're truly seeing the image.
In the movie, you said we must never forget the Holocaust and we must get stories from survivors while we can. Why is this important?
Well, if we don't get all these stories together and get all the information, there's no guarantee the Holocaust won't happen again. And so we need to remember the history and remember all of the lessons we can learn from these survivors and their stories, because if we do that, then we'll be able to stop the Holocaust from happening again in future generations.
In the past 3 years, what types of audiences have you shared the film with?
I have gone far and wide. Recently, we did a Zoom to a school in Sosnowiec where my great-grandfather grew up, but I've also been to Krakow for a film festival. I've been all around to schools far and wide, but also very close to my town. I've been to many different temples, including my own, Bet Torah.
And what have been the reactions from the students when they've seen the film?
Well, many students will have different but the same reaction in a way. Some will be saddened by it. Some already know it and think back upon it. Some can relate to it, having a survivor in their own families, and some are in shock being first confronted with it in this manner.
And how do you think that this film can help teach people to be more tolerant?
Well, the Holocaust didn't start with, we're gonna go kill all the Jews. It started small, and the Nazis were passing laws and building up communal hate against the Jews slowly until it was to the point where the Jews were hated enough and nobody really cared about them enough, to the point that they were able and willing to stand by and do nothing as a genocide was being committed before their own eyes in their own country.
And have you learned anything else about your great-grandfather since the film was made?
Well, I've learned a lot about my great-grandfather. I can't exactly remember specifics because once you start learning them, you kind of just all blend them into the story and keep processing the knowledge and learning more and more from the stories. But it is important that if you are related to a survivor or know a survivor, have someone who has an important story, even if it may not be from directly the Holocaust, to keep asking them questions more and more, maybe the same question over again, because eventually they will tell you something they haven't told you before and comfortable telling you something they haven't told anyone, maybe.
Jared, you had your bar mitzvah earlier this year in November. What has your bar mitzvah meant to you?
It means a lot to me because 6 million Jews, and some of my family included, perished before some of them could even have theirs, and they perished because of their religion. So it means a lot to me that I have had a bar mitzvah because I am carrying on the religion. And it was very special because my great-grandfather was on the Zoom and he even did a Aliyah.
Thank you. And Elliott or Jared, is there anything else you'd like to say to all the kids out there about your great-grandfather or the Holocaust or this movie?
It's very important that you never forget the Holocaust. And like I said before, if you know a survivor, to document their story and learn from them, because in this way only, will we be able to prevent it from happening again.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we have some questions from the audience, if I can ask them. First of all, everyone is very, very moved by the film, and lots of comments in the chat about that. So we have a couple of questions, and a lot of people want to know about your great grandfather, Elliott, and how's he doing today?
Well, he's doing pretty good. Yeah,
He's
so
celebrating his birthday.
oh yeah, he's celebrating his birthday soon. His birthday actually is on New Year's, and he's very excited and happy for that. We're quarantining to go surprise him and see him after, get 2 weeks of quarantining and then a test, of course.
And where did Jack settle when he first came to the United States?
When he first came to the United States, he settled in Rochester, New York, where he still lives to this day.
Have you ever encountered people who deny that the Holocaust ever happened? And what do you say to them? Is there been anybody that's never believed your story, or?
Well, I've never actually encountered someone firsthand who didn't believe in the Holocaust, but if I was to, I would ask them, tough questions like, well, if the Holocaust wasn't real, where did his tattoo come from? And how can you hear these stories from all these different survivors and think that's something that anyone could humanly make up?
And what was one interesting piece of information you learned from him during the making of the film?
One interesting piece of information about his story was when he first arrived at Auschwitz, he was confronted by Mengele and he was put into the line for death, actually. And there was this one capo, and capos were basically Jewish Nazis. They were prisoners appointed by the Nazis to have a higher position in the camps. And there was this one capo who saw him and recognized him, as he was formerly the second in command at my great-grandfather's hat factory. And he recognizes my great-grandfather and he moves him into the line for work. And he gets him this extra job every night, every day, cleaning these Nazi officers, their rooms, their houses in the camps, because the Nazis, they were well fed and they would not always finish their food. And he would be able to eat the scraps off their plates as he was cleaning up after them. And he attributes this to his survival.
Is this accessible? We're getting a lot of questions about if people want to show them in schools or synagogues.
It's on the Museum of Jewish Heritage's website. In addition, if you go to hbo.com and you look up the film, The Number on Great-Grandfather's Arm, then you will be able to stream it for free anywhere you want on the website.
And somebody writes, I'm very interested in whether or not these tremendous stories are shared with non-Jewish communities so that we all understand. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have been to tons of places, and as I said before, this was the first encounter with the Holocaust for many people, because I don't go to just like a temple or a Jewish private school or something like that. I've been to many different places with very diverse groups of people who some have never encountered the Holocaust before, never heard of it before, and many who are not Jewish and have never heard of it, who are much older. And so to be able to tell them the story is very important, because it's not being just spread to the Jewish community, because much of the Jewish community knows about the Holocaust, if not all. And so to be able to bring it to people who have never heard about it or vaguely know about it is a very important thing.
And how did this story get noticed and become a movie? How did that actually happen?
Actually, do you want to tell the story?
So actually, I'm a trustee for the Museum of Jewish Heritage, and the museum holds annual events every year. And at one of the events, we were honoring Diane von Furstenberg, and Andy Cohen was the MC. And he came over to me and said, "You look like you know what you're doing here. Do you happen to know any Holocaust survivors?" And I said, "Yes, my grandfather's a Holocaust survivor." And he said, "You need to meet my friend." So he brought me over to a woman, Sheila Nevins, who she was an amazing HBO producer, and she asked me if I had any children and if my children and my grandfather talked about their story, and I said yes, and she wanted to meet them, and I had made a film just for my family, not professional at all, and she said, "Can I see it?" And she saw it and met my grandfather and was really inspired by his story, and so that's how it all came together. So it was actually from a meeting at the Museum of Jewish Heritage.
And a couple of people are asking how old Jack's going to be in January.
In January, he's actually going to turn 95. Yeah, it's amazing how long he's been able to live and keep a happy life even after the Holocaust. He's always been a very happy person, and that's a very incredible thing.
And how many children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren does he have?
He has 3 children, about like 6 grandchildren, and then great-grandchildren,
6.
6,
7,
yeah.
7.
7, yeah. So 7 great-grandchildren.
And Jared, here's another question for you. What is your favorite thing to do with your great-grandfather?
My favorite thing to do with my great-grandfather is probably read with him. He loves reading.
Do you have any favorite books that you read with him?
I just sit next to him while he reads his book and I read my book.
Oh, okay. And was your great-grandmother a survivor as well?
Yes, so they were both survivors, and an amazing story actually. How they met was my great-grandfather, he was going back and looking for family, and eventually he did find one of his cousins who was from Skarżysko, another town in Poland, and this cousin of his had survived the war in Hassog, which was another prison camp, with my great-grandmother, and they all went to a displaced persons camp together, where my great-grandfather and great-grandmother got married.
And is he still able to feed the community? That was a really beautiful part in the movie. A lot of people were touched by.
Well, sadly, a few years ago, he got too old and there was really no one to run the shop, so he had to close down the fish market. But he still, I feel like he still gives back a lot to his community just by having this film going around with his story in it.
Somebody asked, what was Jack's name before he got fancy and named himself Jack?
Originally, he was born to the name Jack Feldman, and then he actually had changed it multiple times because when he went to Germany, he changed his name to Isaac. And then from Germany, he went to America where he finally changed it to Jack and has kept it that way for many years.
And if there are other young men and women watching this program tonight that are interested in capturing the stories of their family members, what this is for Stacey and Elliott, what should they, how should they start? What's the process and what do you recommend?
Start with a couch and a camera phone. Sit them down, get a little camera recording, and just ask them as many questions as you can think of. You can start vague, just ask them for a basic rundown of the story. And if you want something more specific, just go for it. And if they're not very open to asking it, you start asking the vague questions, and eventually we'll get to a point where they're open and ready to share with you their full story.
Stacey, do you have any other?
Yes, and also I know that the museum often offers different types of classes about interviewing survivors and storytelling classes. So be on the lookout for those as
Great. So we'll take one or two more questions. Your great grandfather is a positive and happy man that comes across in the film. What are some of his hobbies and interests?
Well,
Jared wants it.
okay.
You can both answer. Jared?
He loves to play cards at his place with someone else. But the funny thing is, he tells us he cheats against him and gets money.
The other person knows, though.
It's his aide.
It's his aide who he plays with, and I think they figured it out by now.
And
He loves to go to bed.
He likes to read. Before the pandemic, he spent a lot of his time going to the bookstore near him, Barnes and Noble, and just roaming around and reading the books.
And he also used to, pre-COVID, he'd love to go exercise at the JCC.
And what is he doing now during the pandemic to keep busy? Jared, I assume he's reading a lot. Maybe you're doing Zoom reading. Does he get on Zoom at all, or?
He can't really figure it out, but he lives in a home with assisted living where they're able to help him with the technology, so he's able to see everyone.
And
We did a Hanukkah candle lighting with him on Saturday night with our entire family, so it's a lot of fun.
it's beautiful. What are your future plans, if any, to continue teaching about this story in this film? And what do you hope the future is for this film, and how you'll talk about it going forward?
Well, I love doing things like this. Recently over Zoom, obviously, and then I've also done a lot pre-COVID in person, and I've gone to all different places. I've been to Poland before in person, and I've been all around the country, all around showing the film, doing questions and answers, giving talks like this, and just being able to share his story with as many people possible.
And finally, for your final question here, if you could please just go around and let everyone know, what is one thing that you really want everyone to take away from this film and this evening?
To never forget, and if you have a family member who's gone through something like the Holocaust or even the Holocaust, to sit down with them and just start asking them questions and start documenting it.
I'd like everyone to remember that the Holocaust didn't start with, concentration camps. It started with words and with hate. And it's so important that if you see anyone saying anything, that's not nice, to stop it in its tracks so that nothing like the Holocaust could ever happen again.
I would like everyone to remember to keep carrying on in the traditions of being Jewish, because some
people could not.
Some people could not.
Wow. Thank you all so much for being here tonight and sharing your story with us and sharing the beautiful film with us. It's been a very meaningful evening. And I want to let everyone know, because I know some people in the chat came late and missed the film. We're going to send out an email probably tomorrow or the next day with the recording of this program, so you can rewatch it. And we'll have the link to the film in the email as well. And also some other interesting videos that you can watch that's related to this. So I want to thank everyone for being here tonight and joining us, and have a wonderful evening, and happy Hanukkah to everyone.
Thank you.